Today I'm working on a 1995 Dodge Caravan. It's a Grand Caravan LE. Has IMS, which is mobility services for a wheelchair. So I'm not sure if this is the same as any other Grand Caravan of the same year. But what we have is a bad fuel pump, and we're going to start by removing the fuel and the fuel tank. So all I've done so far is jack this thing up. Got two jack stands underneath it. I left the jack under here just because it doesn't need to come out. If it gets in the way, I'll pull it out of the way, but the jack stands are solid, and I'm going to get into it. I'm going to slide under here and take a look at what kind of bolts we have holding this gas tank in. So I did watch some other YouTube videos, and they said you need to disconnect the bolts at the filler, but I want to take a look under here. All right, so looks like there's two bolts for sure, and on the sides like an old crusty hose clamp. Didn't look like it's leaking. This tank is 3/4 of the way full, so if it's not leaking now, it's probably good. I don't know if it's going to be good afterwards. But here's some other connections for the fuel lines, and they looks like there's 3 of them, and then that runs to the front of the vehicle through this channel. And this is really smooth. I've never seen a car like this, so this must be like the modification for the wheelchair accessibility. And then also someplace there's supposed to be a fuel filter, which might be there underneath that box. We'll take a closer look at that in a little bit. But also looks like this exhaust pipe's been highly modified, on top of having holes and whatnot, but well, that's for a different day. So it occurred to me that I hadn't checked the fuses. They're right underneath the driver's knees, basically. There's like a panel that just pops right off with the toast a couple screws. And so I'm going to take a look and see which one's the fuse for maybe the fuel pumps labeled. Alright, so I'm draining the gas. I'm not sure if this is the way other people do it. There wasn't anyone that was on YouTube showing how this is done, so I disconnected the fuel input pipe and let this hang down and just started draining it out. I've already gotten about 13 gallons out. There's got to just be maybe a couple more gallons left in here. I started with 3/4 of a full tank of 2-year-old gas that smells like varnish, so I'm gonna have to dispose of that properly. But right now all I'm worried about is getting it out of the tank. And then also other videos say drop the tank down a little bit and disconnect the lines, and you know, by a little bit, I didn't know what that meant. Also, was it the side of the tank, the front of the tank, the back of the tank, you know? So anyway, this video shows you that now that it's almost completely empty. I dropped it down pretty far with all the lines still fully connected, and there is enough slack. I wasn't willing to do that when it was full with, you know, like a couple 100 pounds of fuel. But now that it's almost empty, this tank is super light, even now, even though there's a little bit of gas still coming out, and I'm not worried about really anything getting ripped apart. I dropped it down slowly and then looked, and then dropped it down a little bit more and then looked, and yeah, so the hoses are all still, you know, pretty loose, and we're gonna get this tank disconnected and pulled out. One other note is these straps. I wasn't sure how to get these out of the hole here in the back, so I just left them in. Not sure if they're supposed to be able to come out or not. So we'll check back in a few minutes. All Alright, so here's another better view. Got the gas drained out here. And we need to make some disconnects here. That's some kind of a vent, I think. And then that is the actual fuel pump unit with the sending unit and everything built into it for the level. It's near the back of the car and back of the tank. Looks like it's gonna be pretty easy to go ahead and get that all disconnected right now. So that's what we'll be doing right now. All right, so I'm just sitting right next to the rear bumper with my head up inside this cavity here, and I tried to disconnect this vent line or whatever the heck it is, but even though I have the hose clamp off, I can't get this loose. So what I did was I just kind of yanked and pulled and twisted this out. I'm not sure if that was a wise idea or not, but then there's like another vent of some sort here, some kind of tubing, looks like maybe also a 1/4 inch drive or a 1/4 inch socket, and then this pulled off. I don't know what this is. This is a little stub of something, but I pulled it off just to get it out of the way. Regular 3/16 fuel line removal tool to pop that off. I got to get this electrical connector disconnected. Looks like there's the orange or the red slide lock mechanism here. I'll do that in a second. But then more clamps again. Also look like they're a 1/4 inch socket head type. So I'll get that going, and I'll come back. All right, so as it turns out, these are 9/32, all 3 of them. But I got these loose. Now I'm gonna get a pair of pliers and try to just break those loose by rocking them back and forth, and then slip them off. Worst comes to worst, I've got like a lot of extra tubing. I'll just cut them if I have to. I'm going to be replacing this fuel pump, which is actually the reason for the video. So I'll be back. Okay, a little bit of pliers action, and this one's loose. Just pulled off. Didn't really get a good look at it, but yeah, I slid back the little red tab and was able to get the connector off. The supply is the larger diameter and the return is the smaller diameter, so I didn't even have to mark these. There was a little bit of fuel in here, so but the return was complete. Oh, I guess the return's got a little bit of fuel in it too, which is surprising because the fuel pump has not been running. When I disconnected it at the front of the car to try to drain the fuel out to begin with in the engine compartment, nothing was coming out. The pump wasn't running at all. So I think I am ready to drop this thing right out. Wonder if I can just leave the video run for this. There we go, prop this up. And we'll see if we can capture this. Drop it down. Oh. Give it a spin. Like there's some tape. I don't know if this is factory, but some tape here holding it. So I'll cut that loose. I don't think I damaged anything. It made a lot of noise, but I don't think it damaged anything. This looks like just duct tape. Nothing special. I think that's just, yeah, I'm gonna have to cut it maybe. This is the whole backyard mechanic deal here. Standard old duct tape. silver color. That's loose. Let's pop this one off. I don't think there's anything holding it in except for the jack beam underneath it. So we'll just let her fall. Oh crap, I got a fuel wire in the line still. And I need a bucket. There we go. Capture this. Go. This gas doesn't even smell like gas. I'm not going to test it as far as a match goes, but I'm not even sure it's really gas anymore. Alright. I should have put some gloves on, but wiggle it a little bit and let it fall. Oh, there's no more fuel in that line anyway. There we go. It's out. It's on the ground.